This right here is the Google Fitbit Air, and to be fair, I've been using this for around about 30 days now. When I unboxed it, popped it on my wrist, I thought probably within 3 days, I'd take it off, chuck it in its box, and never look at it ever again because you don't get a display. It has no automatic workout tracking, and it's missing what I am used to on a smartwatch, a lot of key features. But having actually bear the brunt and worn it for a full 30 days, I have some strong opinions, and I'll openly admit I was definitely wrong about one key thing when it comes to the Fitbit Air. Now, one of the major pros of the Fitbit Air, which also is a con, is the lack of a display. And that's because it will switch you off mentally from constantly referring to your display on your normal standard smartwatch. And there are other key advantages to this, things like the ability to actually have a much greater battery life. It's extremely lightweight, and when you do have it on, when you're doing things like working out or going to bed, for example, it barely feels present on your wrist. Then there's a durability aspect. 30 days using this from anything from working out in the gym to just doing the day-to-day job that I do, washing dishes, everything you'd ever come across in your day-to-day, and I've had no issues. I had some dust, wiped it off with a wet cloth, bam, no marks, nothing, and it works really, really well and is incredibly durable with no issues at all, which means the durability issues that some people did raise in early reviews kind of didn't happen for me. Then the screen, you're touching on the fact that it doesn't have one, which means battery life. Now we recharge this roughly around every 6 days or so. You will get an alert on the watch to let you know when it needs to be charged with a slight vibration. But one thing I'd say, 6 days means very, very active days. You're talking 4 to 5 days of working out and around about 15,000 steps. So for most people, that is a very, very active lifestyle. So if you're not that active, you might find you're probably gonna stretch this to a 7th day for the Fitbit Air. Then of course, the major draw point of this is the app and the data that you will use. And I'm gonna preface this. I wore this and wanted to achieve one thing and fully bought into the idea of prioritizing my sleep to be better than it ever has been, and I did see a pretty great uplift. Now it takes 7 days to fully calibrate to how you wear it, your cycle, etc., how you sleep, move, how active you are, etc., and then it will tailor it to your needs. Now the advantage you have here is, for me, I saw much greater sleep efficiency, so regularly above 95%, and some days I was falling asleep within a minute. Now that is obviously shutting down mentally and just going to sleep. Other things to note here, and two key things actually, that I found super useful were AI notifications. So this was a summary of, say, a workout or your morning or your evening that allowed you to then break down how the rest of your routine would be for the rest of the day. And then of course, you can use a lot of that onboard AI to ask questions like Gemini on device. You can ask it things like, when's the best time for me to go to sleep? How's the best thing for me to recover, and what does that look like? And you can ask it, and on board, it will give you all of the answers that you need, including things like recovery and the reductions of DOMs. So all those things work really, really well, especially for those who are very much invested in their health, fitness, and well-being. Now, the question you're probably going to be asking, like most people, is would you replace the Fitbit Air for your standard smartwatch? Well, before I answer that exact question, let me just touch on some of the key issues I had with the Fitbit Air. First of all, manually tracking workouts. Now the Fitbit Air, because it doesn't have a screen, you do have to go into the app to actually start and pause and end a workout, which does take some getting used to. So there was days where actually when I was going in the gym lifting weights, completely forgot to track it, and then I had to manually add it. It doesn't record the same level of details if you started and ended the workout as it does if you added it post completion of workout. Then you can't actually favorite certain workouts to make them quickly accessible. Things like if you're a clean weight trainer or a runner like I am, you can't actually favorite those into a tab. You have to actually manually go in and search each time to then find it and then tap it to allow it to start and go, and then you're on way to things like lifting weights or running. Then there's the food log. Now you can search on here and find things like chicken and rice, and it'll give you a rough estimate of what that looks like, but you can't actually record them individually and use this as a food log per se. So you're probably gonna need a dedicated app for that, something like the RP Diet app or MyFitnessPal. Both of those work really, really well, but if you're using the Google Health app for this, Maybe that's something that comes in a future update, but as of this video, no such thing. It's just a general outlook of what you've eaten. And the most obvious issues, of course, is the lack of a display, much like a standard smartwatch on the Fitbit Air. Now, I'll be completely transparent here. We did revert back to wearing both at the same time during our testing, primarily because we missed so many notifications, things like emails and calls that normally we would pick up with this on, that we missed on this. There is some vibration function on this, things like alarms, etc. But overall, it misses a lot of the key notifications. One cool thing I'd like to see is, if you did have just a band, could you go into settings, enable notifications through your earbuds to say things like email, WhatsApp message, anything like that would be super useful. And again, would actually eliminate the use of a smartwatch for me in particular, but unfortunately, that doesn't exist right now. Then there's a price. This could be good or bad. I'll let you know now. If you already pay for additional storage with Google, then you're probably going to find you have the health app already with all the additional features on board, which means you save the additional costs. If you don't have it and you want all of the onboard AI features and Gemini and coaching, etc., that we've shown, which we did find quite useful to be fair and use regularly, that costs upwards of £100 a year. So factor those things in. I will again preface this that I think most people will not need those AI features, and using just a standard health app with the Fitbit Air will be more than good enough for the majority of the people who will want to track their health data on the Fitbit Air. Now, a quick rundown before we give you our final verdict on the Fitbit Air. Physically, it is pretty simple. You get a dedicated charger that connects via a small 2-prong pin on the back that will allow you to charge your Fitbit Air. 2 pins, super simple, very easy to use. And then taking the actual puck out is again super simple, snaps in, snaps out, and you do get the use of additional bands if you wanted to change them into different colors or durability. My final thoughts on the Fitbit Air. Well, I'll sum it up this way. If you are someone who wants to not have a constant on display on your smartwatch, the Fitbit Air is probably up there as one of the best fitness and health trackers I've ever used. I use a smart ring, the Fitbit Air and the watch, a bit excessive I know, as just a general guidance, and I found the data on here is unrivaled. It has a few small issues and adjustments that you need to make. But if you're a first-time health tracker buyer, definitely buy this. Don't buy the additional AI subscription, and you've got possibly the best health tracker available right now. But let us know in the comment section below your thoughts. Are you going screenless on your health trackers, or are you sticking to the traditional smartwatch? Let us know below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Until next one, as always, we out.